everyone, I'm Marga.
I'm Abe.
So we did a birth video on Rachel's birth last week about our C-section experience. So this week we wanted to do our first Vbac, and we were successful at it. Had to work quite hard at it, but we were successful. So once we found out I was pregnant again, just before Rachel's first birthday, we knew a doctor wouldn't attend us around here, so we went with a midwife. And because we knew most of it, like she gave us statistics on safety and everything. So yeah, we did have to have an ultrasound to make sure the placenta wasn't attached to the scar. So we actually called our doctor from our first birth.
Because we didn't know any better. Now
we still didn't know any better. We hadn't had a better birth experience. Plus, we already knew him, and he had one of the best equipment around here. So, hopefully you stick around till the end and watch the whole video. Then you'll know everything that's relevant. If not, you're gonna miss a whole lot of the story. So anyway.
Yeah, because at the end it's the juicy part.
Literally. And so yeah, we called our doctor. We were gonna try to make an appointment, and
he said that she was gonna kill the baby, or herself, or both.
So according to him, with the time difference between the births, it was not gonna happen. There was not gonna be a vaginal birth unless somebody died. There was gonna be a death. So
yeah, because how many months were there between Rachel and Rosy?
20 months.
And how many did he want?
At least
24.
Close to 3 years.
Oh, okay.
He said wait to get pregnant again till just over 2 years to 3 years after you had this baby. So, yeah.
Yeah. So in his mind, we were murderers, literally. If he could, he would have called the cops and put us in jail.
Legally, if he could have,
probably
but he
would.
couldn't. Anyway. So, yeah, we knew that wasn't going to happen. We knew a birth was safe. We knew our midwife was safe. She had years and years and years of training, and she had been in practice. So
and done many Vbacs.
Yep, and had a very nice success rate. Our little pumpkin here just fell down.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we knew we were in safe hands and everything. So we went with midwife, and I told him I'll call back later if I want to make an appointment, and I never did. Because I didn't want to make an appointment with him after all. Especially not knowing his stance on it. And with it being our first Vbac, I needed to have supportive people around me, not people that were going to say things like that to me, even at an ultrasound. And even though he wasn't going to be at a birth and everything, I did not need that. Because then I might have started doubting myself. And there were other people who did that already, so I did not need more. And so we went to a different guy to have our ultrasound. Everything was fine.
Yeah, and he knew that we were going to the midwife. And he was just like, okay, I'm going to check you up. I'm going to check. I know how the midwife likes the report, so I'll make it so that she will understand it. And Like he was very understanding.
I'll give all the information that she needs.
Yeah, and he was like, it's a Vbac, and she's that many months. He was like, okay, not my thing to worry about. I don't know his stance on it, but he was okay with it. He was very respectful of our choice. So nice to have somebody like that to do the ultrasound. Yep.
And we also did our some appointments, because our backup, we always had to have a backup. So we had our backup as a government hospital, our government-funded hospital. And we had our appointments there, and they were very, very basic care. So I had to go into town to a different one of their hospitals to do a blood draw and stuff like that. So, and they did not do ultrasounds, which is why we paid for a private one. And or they do in town, they do. But I think you have to be 20 plus weeks pregnant to get your first ultrasound or something like that. and it's very bothersome to get one, and you go to town and you wait for hours to get to your turn appointment.
Yeah, and they're so careless that the woman has to stand in line. It's a line of hours, and the pregnant woman, only pregnant women go there, and they don't even have seats to sit them down.
Yeah.
Or a way to pass them by numbers. It would be so easy. You're number 1, you're number 2, and then go sit down, right? They have seats there, just not in the line.
Yeah. And then you leave the line and you're out of the line. At least of the initial line. After that, you do get an approximate appointment.
And then sit down, yeah.
And then you still wait hours.
Yeah, that's just terrible.
Yeah, not ideal at all. So we opted for rather paying it, even though we're pretty low on the financial side. So that's why we went to a government hospital as a backup for should I need a C-section. Kitty. For those who like them. Anyway. Where was I at again? Anyway, yeah. So we did our, that was our backup. Because we didn't have funds to pay aside. Because we pay the midwife and then we pay that. So we didn't have money for both. So we opted for that as a backup. And so, and we were very, very happy with our midwife. Our midwife is amazing. We had our birth classes with her. We had, she gave us a book to prepare for labor, to read birth stories from Ina May Gaskin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, midwife in the States. And I think she is already very, very old, but I'm pretty sure she's still alive while we're filming this video. And she's giving classes and all kinds of stuff last I heard about her, so teaching other students. And that was an amazing book to learn, because I learned about, like, with her first, I had ideas about labor, but most women, they were like contractions 5 minutes apart, this and that. And this book had a variety of different births, and I was like, okay. There was one that was 72 hours, and I'm like, okay. Really, really praying about it and saying, God, if that is the birth that I'm supposed to have, you're really going to have to be there. You're really going to have to give me strength, because I am not that good with pain. I don't deal with it well. So, or at least, I'm pretty sure I don't. Anyway, so, yeah. And there was also a birth of a woman waking up in the middle of the night having given birth to her baby. And then there was a lady that gave birth to her baby that was like face coming out first, when it's supposed to be like the head. That part is ideal. But he did it, so I'm like, okay. I was having reading so many different birth stories, and they helped me really prepare for what was coming, because my contractions was like, just like with my last one, even though the last one I was induced, and I thought, okay, maybe that's why my contractions were so very, very close at the whole time. They were
just like it this time.
Yes, this time they were just like it. And I started getting my contractions. They were very irregular, very, very, very early stages of labor. I was getting them between 3 to 5 minutes or so, and then once I got a bit more into, like, yep, this is labor, then they were like a minute to 2 minutes apart, like lasting for 45 seconds to over a minute. So yeah, I did not have that much time to breathe. I had contraction, and I was like, and then next contraction started. So that's how close they were. And but yeah, then my husband went to a meeting, and I had my first contraction, tiny tummy squeezing, that he said, like, oh, your tummy is squeezing at 6 o'clock. And since it happened 3 nights prior to that, it happened. The first night, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to work out. I'm going to see if I can get labor started. Like, maybe these are this. Now I'm going to go into labor. I'm already overdue. Maybe now I'm going to go into labor. Because around here, if you're a Vbac, you forcefully have to go into labor yourself. You cannot have any induction, which I know they do in the States at some places. And mildly, but they have induction methods. Around here, that's off the table. Unless a membrane sweep. But that wasn't possible for me either.
What was it?
Because when I laid down, the baby went up into my ribs, and the midwife couldn't even reach. Like, what's it called again? She couldn't reach up there far enough to even like touch my the cervix. Yes, she could not do a membrane sweep.
Anyway, you did go into labor. At,
10 days.
Yeah.
But I told him to. You can relax, go. The second day I did. Okay, I'm like. First day I did labor, did exercise, trying to get labor going. Now I'll just do nothing. I'll relax, really, just stay in bed, just stay there because now they're coming. But they still went away. And then the third day, I'm like, okay, just go, just go. I'll call you if I need anything. And they stayed pretty consistent. They were getting a little bit more intense. They were like, okay, yep, I think this is gonna be it. So I called him. He came home. I had a shower. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely, we called his parents.
No, I went with
yeah, you had gone with your parents,
yeah,
and they barely
there.
left. And then we called them, you're going to have to come back to get our
We didn't have
daughter.
a vehicle even working then, right, or something? Why?
Yeah, that time we did. With our first daughter, we had to borrow a vehicle from my parents.
But why did my parents have to come back?
No.
Because we wanted to go with our car to the midwife.
No. No.
Okay.
And we were low on gasoline. And your parents wanted to go to the same place, and they offered to drive you. And
well, anyway.
No.
yeah.
So you did go into labor, and then we went to the midwife's clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was pretty good. She thought it was going to take quite a while. And
We were there. Our initial exam, like I was 3 to 4 centimeters. That was amazing. Like I thought, like I knew my body could do it before, but now I really now it's easier to believe that.
Okay, and then at the midwife, the progress was steady. It was constant. We stayed there. We stayed there until. There you go. Gotcha. You were 7 centimeters when we went to the
Hospital. We did end up transferring
because there was
meconium in the water when my water broke,
Yeah.
and
so the midwife was a little concerned. She wasn't very concerned, but she needed to be in a better environment in case of the baby having some issues.
swallowed some of it or inhaled some of the meconium. And the midwife, she does have
Equipment.
as you'll hear in our next birth story. We did use some of it. We did need some of it. But she did have some equipment and everything. But she's like, just to be safe, at the hospital they have a lot more equipment. They can do a lot more. And they have a lot more professional, experienced people, even though she has quite a bit of experience.
So we told the midwife to call the ambulance, and they also
To
went
transfer?
to So in the ambulance, you actually started to push.
And while we transferred, was the midwife said you're 7 centimeters, and it's the first time you're delivering vaginally, and could still take 2 hours. You're making such a cute face. She's like looking at me trustingly. Anyway, and so in the ambulance, I started pushing already, and then when we got to the hospital, I think it was a person who did not know how to do an exam yet, really, that much. A doctor who was like a newbie,
because
practicing.
he checked her, and she was 7 centimeters.
He said, they're still 7 centimeters, and he was really rough. I sometimes joke, next time I go prepare myself for a birth, I'm putting a frying pan or a rolling pin in my bag, because I would have whacked him. My midwife, she's like, I'm going to check you now. It may be uncomfortable. Maybe it'll hurt. I'll be as gentle as possible.
Him?
Never bothered. And him,
He didn't even tell
he
her
said,
that.
I'll check you now. But, like,
That
he
was
was so rough, and it hurt so much. I would have whacked him.
Yeah, anyway, he said 7 centimeters, and then the midwife checked her.
Because they were in such a frenzy, because I was a Vbac birther, and there was only 20 months of space between.
So they were like, oh, she's gonna die.
Yeah, and they were really thrown off by my coping method, which was like really making ha 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 kind of low laughing sounds, and that was hilarious.
Yeah.
They were thrown off by it.
Yeah, so then my wife asked them if the midwife checked her again, and they were like, yeah, why not? And then you could see they were so sorry.
Yeah, I could see the moment that nurse realized what she had said yes to. So, and I'm like, okay, Katia, check me right now. She just said yes, and she's gonna change her mind. You better do it now because she said yes. And my midwife checked me, and I was 10 centimeters. She said, you're 10 centimeters, you're ready. Like, your pushing is for a reason.
Yeah. And the doctor was weird because she was starting to push. And not yet 10 centimeters. And the midwife said, it's totally fine, just go ahead. And then she started pushing, and it was about to happen. You know, the baby was about to get born. Very, very close. Probably 5 minutes, 10 max. Way max.
We weren't there for very long until baby was born.
Yeah, and they were gonna push for a C-section. So
yeah, I was pushing, and they were pushing for a C-section.
Yeah,
I was pushing for a baby to come out, and they were pushing for a C-section.
Yeah, so they tried to. They were asking for us to sign some papers several times.
They first they tried to get my husband to sign because they assume most women don't and then around here their assumption is correct, and most women do not speak Spanish, and then so they tried to get my husband to sign consent for me so they could perform a C-section, emergency C-section on me. And
actually, how it started, they gave us the papers, and none of us
we need you to sign this.
We had.
What is this?
Yeah, we didn't even have time to read it. Like, you were in labor and pushing. Who wants to read papers at that moment, right? So we were like, what is it? Just tell me what it is. And they said, it's in case you need a C-section, so we can do it. And we were like, no, we're not signing that.
And they were going to do a C-section right away. They told us we were going to do a C-section as soon as we signed this.
And the only way to stop them was to say, we have the legal right to not sign those papers. And that's where they started to be very careful of what they said or did to us. Because they were like, these people are going to give us legal issues. We better just get this over with as they wanted. You know, that was a turning point for them.
Yeah.
And after that, they transferred you to the birthing room.
Yeah, they tried to get him to sign, and then after he wouldn't sign, he said, my wife doesn't want a C-section, so I'm not going to sign away her right. I'm not going to make her do it. Then they tried to get me, since I was speaking Spanish to them at that point, and they tried to get me to sign away my rights, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I know everything is okay. Yeah. And unless you can prove otherwise, everything is okay, and we're going to continue with this birth like we are now. And then they were going to put me into labor and delivery where the babies are born, and they were starting to push me away from him. He was starting to come after. Yeah. Yeah,
and I just ran after her, you know, like...
And then they were like, you can't come further than this. And
I was after her. She was in the bed, and they were like... And I run after her as fast as I can. And a bunch of people followed me like, oh, no, you can't go in there. It's scary in there.
Yeah, in the corridor. And I'm like...
And I just turned around and, and you said, if he's not going in there, the midwife is. And they were...
it's your choice. You can choose. I don't care what you choose.
Midwife.
It's going to be my husband who doesn't have experience with births, or it's going to be my midwife who has experience with births.
And they were just like, okay, midwife come in.
Okay, midwife come in. Because I said, I'm walking out of here if I don't get somebody who go in there with me. So they...
Meanwhile, the assistant was already in there because she was a medical practice person. She was able to practice and
in there and observe births.
Yeah, so she's kind of sneaked in there, so to say, for this.
So I had 2 support people in there, which was amazing.
Well, nobody gets anybody.
Yeah, other women don't, and I can't express how sorry I am for those women. They have to go through all of that alone, and with a lot of them, not all of them get as harsh treatments as I got, because most of them, they just go with what the doctor says, so they don't ask questions.
Yeah, about that, the doctors were very mean because of this. So they did what they could, legally, to make us wait or everything, whatever you could imagine. They tried that because they were like, these people are trouble, and we'll make them know that they're not welcome.
We don't like them.
Yeah, so they did. We know.
Yeah, and so when I was laying there, I was laying on the table. They had me all the way naked. I was laying on a metallic table, flat, like a table, not a bed, with my feet up in the air and pushing. And the baby didn't come out in the first 3 pushes or so. So they started doing an episiotomy, and my midwife saw, like she said, She's taking a scissor. She's doing an episiotomy. She barely got that out of her mouth, and I already felt the cut. The doctor never asked me for consent, never informed me, nothing. She was really extremely rude, and then when she cut me, I also tore to the other side. And I'm like, if you cut me one more time, stop cutting me. And the baby did come out, but yeah, and then they took the baby away. Or like the midwife, she said like she made them show me the baby so I could say it was a girl and everything. And she called Abe, so Abe had an idea of what was going on. Most men don't have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah. They don't bother to even tell them. They will tell you once the wife kind of goes through the comes out literally.
Yeah, out of recovery.
Yeah,
which is you have to wait there a few hours in recovery. So we know of people that where the husband has waited there, like extremely worried, like not knowing what's going on. Like first off, labor and delivery is already taking hours and hours and hours. And then add those 2 hours on top of that, not knowing what's going on in your life.
Yeah, and in my case, it was fast, right? I got a call 40 minutes after we got there.
And this person had to wait hours.
Yeah. What if it's 12-hour labor and a delivery and recovery? It's like 14 to 15 hours that he has no clue what's going on with his wife. He doesn't know if they did a C-section. Dead. Yeah, they won't tell him. That's just really mean.
Yeah, so I got to call. Katia called my husband, and I got to tell him we have a girl. It's a girl and everything. And so yeah, but after that, the hospital treatment was still terrible. I took half an hour to stitch me back up. All that cutting and tearing, during which I was still on that table freezing and laughing. Also because of adrenaline. And then I noticed if I stopped laughing, I was getting cold, so I continued laughing to keep my body warmer. Plus, I was happy to know my baby was okay, everything had gone. I had been able to get my Vbac and everything, so... But yeah, they had my baby laying on the table, trying to nurse. Midwife has a video of this.
Yeah, and they were trying to get a tube for a breathing tube in her. Like, she was completely fine, and as I said, just to be mean to us, they tried all those things.
Yeah, because they thought it was needed, even though it wasn't. They could clearly see it wasn't. And once I was in...
One thing for guys... Sweetie, careful. Come, the guys are so left behind, right? And so my way to go in that moment was I called my brother. We're pretty close, and so while I was while she was in there, I had no clue what's going on. I called him. I was like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's telling me anything, and they've been really mean to us, and I don't know what to do, and so he prayed for us, and
we are Christians, so
yeah. So I asked him to ask the preacher of the church,
send get a few people to pray for us.
Yeah, because I had no clue what was going on, and well, in that moment you need something or somebody, and I had been praying like crazy myself, right? So I was literally just sitting there and praying, but I was like, this is not enough. I don't know what's going on, and what if it's
something bad is happening.
And so I asked him to pray, and it was a big comfort. Helped me a lot. He said, just relax, it's going to be okay. And it was, thank God, right? Like, well, thank God, because he's always with us, but we were pretty comfortable. As long as the midwife was with us, we know she knows what she's doing. But I didn't know anymore what was going on. So for me, it was very crazy, way, out of whack. While I was with her, I was pretty relaxed, and after that, I didn't know anymore. So that's just for the guys. If there's guys watching, just remember, you can just look up somebody. It's not something that you don't need to talk about. It's something that you need to talk about
with somebody, and having a close buddy or somebody who will respect. There's those that make fun of each other. That's their bond. Not those.
Yeah, because guys need emotional support just as much as the women do. We don't go through the pain or through the birthing, but we go through other stuff. And we are a big emotional support to our wives. I hope we are. We sometimes need that too. And just to mention also, the midwife was also very concerned about that. So about me as a dad for the newborn baby, emotional support for us. So she taught me that I need somebody or something. Also, she called me because she was worried about me more than the doctors or anybody else. And also
She
in
remembered
general,
you existed.
yeah. In general, she thinks of the guys a lot too. Just a different guy I know that works with her. She helped him literally after the birth. The mama was sleeping, the baby was sleeping, the guy was, knocked out emotionally, and she helped him. Like a midwife helping a guy is not something that nobody even thinks about, but that's what was going on right there. So just in case you guys wondering about that, I know that it's hard to talk about that for guys, but don't bother worrying even about it. Just a close friend and tell them how you're feeling. Just as she said, make sure they don't make fun of you because they do. It's our nature that guys don't need to worry about that or whatever. It's not true. We do need to worry about that.
And support during that time.
Yep.
To be able to better support your wife, because if you have to do it all yourself, all your own emotions, and then deal with your wife's emotions, how tiring.
Yeah.
And so yeah. I got into the recovery room, and there midwife is like, Mommy wants to hold her baby because they put the babies in the crib. So
yeah. Also with Rachel, that was a thing. I don't know if we said it last video. They were surprised that we wanted to keep the baby in our room. That was a nice hospital. Okay, it was a pricey hospital. Yeah.
Hospital.
We paid a lot of money, and they treated us a lot good, a lot better. Yeah, smashing. And at that hospital, they were like, "You want to take care of the baby?
We'll wash you very soon with all that dirtiness."
So they were like, "You washing? Okay, you go washing. I help you.
You want to hold your baby there for the night, but you'll be tired. You just like
why don't you just sleep? We'll take care of the baby." And we were like, "No, you're gonna give it formula. Bring it back."
They did give Rachel formula.
They did, and it was an issue.
Interfered with nursing, but
a lot. Yes.
Luckily, I had my mom, and she was able to help me get back on track with nursing to stay nursing. So anyway, and in the recovery room, they put her there, and then midwife said, "Okay, well," because she's asked, would you like to hold your baby? I hadn't even held my baby. I'd seen her, but I hadn't held her. And I said, "Yeah." And the midwife, who doesn't really speak Spanish, she's like, "Mommy wants to hold her baby." And they're like, "But she's tired. She'll let it fall." "Mommy wants to hold her baby. We're two capable women. Will help her. And we'll take care of her and baby." So,
yeah, and just so you can imagine, it was a little funny scene because the midwife does not speak Spanish. Like, she speaks English only. And she was talking to Spanish people. So she did know how to say that, but in a different accent and very, cut off. So it was like, they knew it was an order. It was not like, "Please give the baby." They were like,
"Mommy wants her baby.
Yeah.
She's going to get her baby." And then the lady next to me, there was another lady in the recovery room, and she's, "Then I want my baby too."
Yeah, almost like she knows, I can hold my baby?
That it was an option to be able to. And so yeah, the hospital did not treat us very well. We had other bad treatment after that where we knew, for example, they wanted to push birth control on me right away. I was supposed to get inserted in the arm or whatever. And I didn't want any of that birth control, and especially not right away. And so they were not very happy with us at all. And because I knew birth control, me personally, I get the worst anger out of
with
that.
hormones.
Yes, and I didn't want it. I told them I have my way. I have planned whatever I want to do.
Yeah, just leave us alone.
Yeah,
they didn't. And
they
also the paperwork was a very big mess because we came in with official papers that were supposed to cover everything, and they lost them, and we had to re-get them, whatever. Because they lost them, and they were not even trying. They were like, "We don't have them, so I don't care where they are. We don't got them."
Yeah, and so that was a whole hassle.
Okay.
But we got home, and even though
it took,
they didn't give me lunch the day they sent me home, we got home at 4
o'clock
in the p.m. after lunch, and I had not gotten lunch. So
those
are not the best hospitals, but we did get our VBAC thanks to our midwife, not to the team at the hospital, thanks to our midwife.
Yeah.
So.
And hard work.
Yeah. And it was amazing.
So highlights of all of this that I can think of right now is you need a doctor or a midwife that you can trust if you want a VBAC, that is. So you need to trust them. You need a ton of information throughout the pregnancy, research, whatever you need so that you know what to do or what to not to do, right? Also,
and our midwife volunteered a lot of information.
Yeah, that's true. And most of all, you need a ton of mental preparing for that because, in our case, doctors are so against it. Well, not just doctors. Many people are so harsh against it, and they will discourage you very quickly.
Yeah.
So,
and I did recover a lot faster from the VBAC. So even though with the tearing and all that, so at our first postnatal appointment with the midwife, I answered the door, and Abe was sitting inside in the comfy chair holding our newborn, and she's like, "Which one of you gave birth?" So, yeah. And thank you if you watched this far, so thank you very much. And stay up to tune, for our next video.
Yeah, we're going to talk
We'll see how soon this one uploads, because our Wi-Fi sucks, but anyway, yeah. Once it uploads. Thank you for watching those and subscribing, maybe watching our next video of our next daughter being born.
Yeah,
which was another roller coaster.
Yeah.
Funny one.
Yeah, so consider
watching the whole video and subscribing because we're going to have another birth coming up. So see what happens there. What
things are rolling on. Okay, we'll see you all in next time.
Good night. Bye.